Hello and welcome to the tutorial for the Avalon project. Let's begin. The first thing you want to do before you go into After Effects, if you want to use the font I showed in the preview, it's called Steel Tongues. You can download it. There is a link in the manual. Just put it in your Windows directory and the folders directory inside, and then open the project in After Effects. And as we can see, the project has 4 folders: the assets, which inside you can find the blasts, all the animation, particles, lens flares, all the pre-composition. You don't need to touch that. The second folder is called Edit Titles Here. And inside are 4 folders: the opening titles, the name titles, the 3 end titles, and the extended name titles for the extended cut. What we're gonna do is open the first folder, the opening titles, and you can see there are 2 titles, the A and B. Those are the first 2 titles that open the animation. Something for like your company present, and then the name of the movie. Just double click the first one and click on the timeline where it says edit here, because before that the text will have his in animation and you won't see it. So right about here you can just click on the text layer and make sure you edit it instead of just deleting and replacing it. If you want to preserve the effect, you can go here to character, and if I will select only the top part, you can see now the colors for the text. You can see the inside is a very dark blue, and if I click here you can see the stroke layer, that around the text. So if you want to change it, just select it, and after we change the text, for example, my new project, if you don't want these colors, just click here on the stroke and choose any other color you want. Same goes for the inside, just normal text. And the same for the second line, the present, you can say is here, or sorry, anything you want, just change it. The first layer, which is by the way yellow, and every yellow layer in this animation means that there is a control on it, so don't miss it. If you see a yellow layer, just go to here, the effects controls, and know that there must be something in there. So here there's the flicker text on off, which is the beginning of the animation. As I said before, it has an in animation. If you don't want it, just uncheck this, and the text will just always show. Next we're gonna go to the opening title B, which is exactly the same. We'll go to the edit here, and you can change anything you want. You can even put more text. It doesn't matter. You can reposition it any way you want. Just edit it, and let's move on. Let's go to the name titles. Originally in the Ultimate Cut, which fits the Ultimate Chase soundtrack, there are 7 name titles, as you can see here. And to edit them, all we have to do is just again double click it, and this time you don't have to be anywhere, any specific place in the screen, and just put on a different title. Let's say this one will get to the producer, and let's call him Jeremy Prodi. Doesn't matter. You can again change the kerning, the font, and the position of the text as well. And you can even put more than one title in one text. You can click on the text and hit Ctrl D on the keyboard for duplicate. And oh, there's a track mat here, and you see, just change it to no track. I don't know why I did that. And let's just put it here. You can also right click new text and put it anywhere you want, and just put as many text as you want in the screen. You can put it above or under, it doesn't matter. And you do the same for the next 7 titles, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Once you're done with the second title, you can add more name titles if you want the extended name titles cut, and it works just like these 7. Open this, and you would see titles 8 to 21. Enter as many as you want, and we'll get to it later. And the 3 end titles are first the movie title. Double click it, open it, and if you can see the toggle transparency grid, just makes the text looks invisible, but it's not. It says Avalon, and you can edit the text and the font too. If you see, and we'll scrub through the timeline, you'll see that the letters are animated. And if you want to keep that, just change the text to, let's say, Gogglon, and the effect will remain. The second title, also by the way, know that any color you pick here will be the color of the 3D text in the end. So if you want a blue color, just change the text itself to blue or any other color. Let's go to the next one, which is the info title, which is right after the movie title. I said summer 2013. It can be any other date. And of course, the last one is the logo holder, which has your logo inside. You can use any logo you want with any tagline you want. Just put them at the same composition. You can hit Control-I or right-click import file. Let's, for example, take the Audio Jungle logo, and if we drag it here to the logo holder, hit S on the keyboard for scale. Let's uncheck this first example titles, and we'll reposition it here. That's fine too. And just for a glimpse to the future, I will show you how easy it is. You see, and the logo will just update inside the whole composition with the effects and everything. After we're done with the title changing, let's open the next folder. Two controls here, and open the first one, control panel. Now, the control panel is built from sample images of each blast. It's not the animation itself, but it's built so you can have the fastest customization process, and later on you'll see the full quality. So what we have here is the first 7 blasts. Let's go to the beginning when it says control panel. The first 7 blasts, and if you scrub through after 2 seconds, you can see in the middle the last blast. And let's start. There are some on-comp controls for the blasts themselves right here, and these first 2 will apply anywhere to all blasts, regardless of what you pick in the master blast controls, which I'll get to in a moment. The first one is blast glow, and you see the more I raise this circle, the glowy the blast will be. I personally, if you really want to use the glow because it kind of burns the image, just use a very low value. Everything is in the details, you know. And the next one is called blast variation. The more you raise it up, the more each blast will be just a little bit different from the one before it. So you can see this one is going to the one side, this one is going to the other side, which means this one will be more bluish and this one will be more cyan. And again, bluish, cyan, that's the way it works. It just gives a little bit of variation. So again, if you want, just play with it, maybe not too much. I was right about here. The next 3 controls are called master blast controls, and that's because they will affect all blasts in the animation. That means you only have to change it once, unless you want to disconnect each blast from the master group afterwards. So know that you can make the preview here and check what you like, and then afterwards you can disconnect, for example, this blast to look different, or this one. So the blast likeness will get the blast really black or really, really bright. It all depends on the effect you want. And we'll see in a second that when you change the background color, you can really see the black particles. The saturation will get, of course, the blast from black and white to really oversaturated, which may be the effect you want. And hue will change the overall tone and color of the blast, so it starts from blue, and you can see the slider is also blue. And the more I bring it up, right, you see the color shifts also in the blast and also in the sliders, even here. So you can see what color we are on, and just play with it until you get something you want. Let's go to the first layer here, which, you know, we said yellow layer has controls. So this one controls the smaller particles, the one you see here, and here, here, here. If you want another color than white, just pick it, and it's working same as the master blast controls. It will affect all animations. So I'll put it on, for example, green. So in all animations, the particles will be green. The opacity works the same. It goes from 0 to 100. If you don't want them at all, just put it at 0. I personally recommend that if you don't want them, put them at the same color as the background color. This way, even though they're not seen, they will be creating some chaos around the frames. So let's put it back at white and go to the next control there, which is called background color. And you can choose any color for the background. Just go, let's red, which I don't know what you'll do, and very saturated color, or just white. And then if I bring the lightness down, you will see how the particles become like almost black, and bring the saturation up. This can be a very cool effect if you want. And let's back to control panel, bring the color back to black, and let's bring those babies up. Now, the third layer is called color correction controls. And these are some amazing color correction presets we made for this project. You can try each one of them separately, but not together. That's important. Also know that in the final animation, which we'll get to in a second, these color presets are calculated just a little differently, because the quality is better in the final quality than here in the control panel that's built for a fast preview. So know that when you apply a color preset and you say, oh, I like it, just wait and go to the final animation. I will show you a cool trick on how to do that when we get there. Let's just click on this, for example, cinematic, that gives it just a bit of a yellowish and brings the blacks up. And let's go for a second. I want to show you something cool. When you apply a color preset, for example, this epic one, you can see it says here epic, so you'll know which color preset you're on and which is activated. But if you go after 2 seconds, the blaster will cover it, so you'll see it before. And there is some really cool, for example, blue moon or roasted, which kind of gives it a very cool burnt bluish look. And of course, you can play with the sliders when the color correction presets are applied, so you can really get endless variations. And if the color correction makes the blast too bright or too dark, you can see, for example, this deep dreams. You can just bring the lightness down with the slider here, and you'll see the result looks okay. And just let's cancel it for now. And I want to explain to you about this very last color correction value, which means apply color correction to titles. And that's for the name titles and opening titles only. If you want the color correction presets to apply on the titles, just check it on. And any color preset you choose, will show it really soon, will be applied on the titles as well. Choose the 0102 opening sequence. And now we're gonna go through each blast individually and see that we like the result and have some fun controls too. The first one is called individual blast controls. So you remember I said before, you can disconnect any of the compositions from the master group in the control panel. All you have to do is click on the layer that says individual blast controls, and here with connect to master is default on, just uncheck it and choose your new settings. So if I want, this time there is no blast because this is the first opening titles, but it has the controls for the smaller particles. So if I would disconnect this from the master and choose a different color, for example pink, you would see the smaller particles are now pink. And the same for the opacity, but now I want to leave it at connect to master. And the second one is called title controls. It's for the titles here. And again, it has less controls because it's the first one, but the control is called title glare, and it's this passes of light you see on the title. If I would uncheck it, you would see now the title is still. I really like the glare. It's animated, so in the final animation it looks like there is some light passing on the titles, which is cool. Let's go to the first blast, the blast A. And let's go to the first layer, which is called individual blast controls. And just as before, only we have more controls. The first one is the lightness. Let's just connect it for a second, and you'll see this is the original blast. And while everybody else is still connected, this one is not. The lightness goes from -5 to 5. At -5 there will be almost black, and 5 again, just like the slider, blown up. The saturation also will make them very saturated at 100, and -100 they will be black and white. And the U works just like the slider. It goes from 0 to 360. Just slide it like this, use the mouse, and choose any color you want if it's not the color in the master. Same for the small particles. And just remember that when the color correction presets are applied, they are applied on the version the blast looks. So it means if you disconnect one to master, and let's say we go back to the control panel and activate the epic CC, then this blast will now look differently with the epic CC because we changed its look and disconnected it from the master. In order it to look the same as everybody else, we have to either copy the settings of the sliders or just connect it back to master. So if you want to use the color correction presets, I would recommend leaving all the blasts connected to the master. So let's go and uncheck the epic CC. Okay, let's move to the second layer, title controls. Inside you'll see these. The front and back title checkboxes are for you to decide if you want the title to show in front of the blast or behind of the blast. They're gonna show up either way, but the front title show just a little bit later. If we'll go, the first 7 blasts share the same settings, so I just wanna show you. Let's go to blast B. Here you can see very towards the end of the animation, the particles can cover some of the text. So if I were at title controls and uncheck the front title, you will see now the particles are kind of like covering, going into the title, which can be really cool. So if you want this effect, just uncheck the front title and make sure you put your text at a strategic point so the particles don't cover it completely, but still cover some of it. And a cool way to do that is to use this icon, the camera, right here. It says take snapshot. So let's say my title was somewhere else and I wanted to know where to put it. So I'll see about towards the end of the animation, my blast is right here. So I'd click this camera icon and it will make a sound. And then I will go to the title that we're seeing, which is the second title. It says blast B. Let's open the original edit title here, the blast B, when it says music Bob Bonson. And now if I'll press F5 on the keyboard, you will see the blast at that point when I took the photo. So now I can say, okay, I'll see that around the end of the animation the blast is here. So I have to put my title somewhere around this. So I could put it here as well. And if we go back to blast B, you'll see it working perfectly. And if I would put the front title on, the title would be in front. Same goes for the back title. Maybe you want if you want the title to show up a little bit later and not show behind the particles, you can uncheck the back title, and then at the beginning the title won't show until it's almost done, and then the front title shows. The next one is called title sparks. Right about when each of the blasts is disappearing, before there's this, you see very tiny sparks going around the text. And if we bring the title just here for it, you can see it, these. And you can uncheck this box and have them not show at all. Or you can use these 2 color pickers to change their color. From example, let's put this one at red, and you will see they become red. And the second one, you can also change their color, anything you want. And the last one is a title glare. When we saw before, the same one, you can uncheck it and the title won't have this glare animation on it. Let's move on. When you're done with all these 7 blow ups. Just go through each one and check if you like the quality as we said, and if you like the color correction presets. And when you're done, go to the 10th composition, which is called Blast Movie Title. And this one might load a little slower. You can always come to here, the resolution, and change it from full to half or third. Depends on your computer specs, because this title has the logo, which is 3D and has motion blur and everything, so it just takes a little longer for rendering. But you see, we set Google on before, and you can see it shows up. And this is the movie title, I'm sorry, not the logo. So the controls are exactly the same, except in the title controls, there is only controls are exactly the same, except there are no title controls, only flare controls. And the flare is, you can see it shows here at the beginning of the animation. So we'll go a little back here. And if you want a custom color, just check this box on, like this, and you'll get a tint. You can choose this flare color picker to choose any tint you want for the flare. I really like it in the original colors. So when you're done with the number 10, go to number 11, which is the same, just has a different title. He called it Blast Info Title. You see the summer of 2013. And the last one is the logo title, which is, its difference is it's revealing the first graphic in white, and then we'll reveal the actual colors of the logo. See, we'll toggle the transparency. And as you see, just slowly the particles are coming out and completing the image of the logo until it gets to the end. And that's for the editing of the titles and controls for the blast. That's it. Now you need to choose which version you want to render. If you want to render the Ultimate cut, which fixed to the Ultimate Chase soundtrack, just double click it. There are totally no controls you have to do. All you have to do is, if you bought the soundtrack, just click Control I on the keyboard, import it, and drag it just right here below the camera controller and render as you usually render, and the soundtrack will fit perfectly. One more thing I want to show you how to do is how to lock the presets, the color presets, in order to view them in the live quality. So what you can do is go into the control panel and then click on the third layer, the color correction controls. Come here to the effects controls, and if you see, there's this lock icon, and just click it and you will see it will lock. And then go to the final render, the ultimate cut, for example. And if we go back to the effects controls, we will still see the list of the presets. So we can just now apply them, and live just scrub through and see how they affect our composition in the live quality. Also, you can check the apply CC to titles to see live how it's affecting your titles. Same goes for the extended version, it will work the same. And now you can just scrub through and see the effects, the live quality. Of course, if now we see the blast is too bright, we can go back to the control panel, and down here just lower the lightness as we did before, and it would look better. And that's it. Another thing is, when you render out the animation, by the way, to unlock the list, you can just hit the lock button again. And when you render, it's important to know that now the project is on 8-bit, and it works faster for preview. But if you alt-click here, alt and click, or click once, and it will open settings, and you can change it manually here to 16-bit. The calculation and the dynamic range will look better. It will take more time to render, but it looks better if you have time. It takes only about 40 minutes, and it's worth it. Now, if we want to use the extended cut, that's no problem. Just double click the extended cut, and you will see the first area called controls, and it says in the effects control how many name titles. Well, the ultimate cut has 7 name titles, And the extended cut can have up to 21 name titles. That means 2 opening titles here at the beginning always, and then from 2 to 21 name titles, depends on you. And at the end will always be the 3 end titles: the movie title, the info title, and the logo holder. So how the extended cut works? Well, it takes the first 7 blasts, A to G, and duplicates them in various ways like rotation and mirroring. Also, it keeps them in their original order, so the time from one blast to its duplicate will be the longest. And then it uses the extended name titles on them, which we have here. So what we can get from it is, for example, the first name title, which is blast A. And if we go here to blast A, it will take the individual controls and the title controls and will apply them to its duplicate, which is blast 8. And the same from title 2, name title 2, blast B, will be the same as title 9, 3 to 10, and so on. So this way you only customize the first 7 blasts, and all the settings will be duplicated to the extended name titles for the extended cut. So the variable here is how many name titles. So let's say we go in the edit titles, we edited the original 7 here, the name titles, and the extended name titles we added, let's say, until 12. You can see the numbers are here, they're continuing from the name titles folder. So let's say we wanted 12 titles, and this will be co-director, and let's say, for example, just so we'll know, and title. This will have an example of what we're doing. And go back to the extended cut. So we're dealing with 12 name titles. So come here and just type 12. And as you can see, you have the color markers at the bottom here. And you will see that after this one, 12, it will show us our last title, which is co-director and title. And after this one, it will show us the end. Let's give it a second. And as you see, the end titles are showing. And that's about it. Any any number you type here, will just change automatically, and you have to do just nothing at all except of that. And after the animation is completely done, you can go to a point in time when the animation is done and just hit N on the keyboard, like end, to trim the render so it won't render after this point. All you have to do is click the final renders folder, and inside are more resolutions. You can have it in 720p or 480p, whatever you want. That's it. And thank you. If you have any question, don't hesitate and ask at ghosteam.official@gmail.com. And please don't forget to rate us at the download page. Thank you.